Hey gun people, going to talk about some fallacies and problems in the criminal justice system that cops kind of deal with, and kind of explain what, when you hear the news media or you read a report, armed and dangerous means. So here's what happens when cops put out warrants. We have a suspect, we know he did it, we do the report, request a warrant, we go to the judge, we get an arrest warrant. We put that arrest warrant in the system. So when somebody runs this person's name for wants or warrants, that arrest warrant comes up. It doesn't come up if I run your driver's license. And it doesn't come up if I run your car that's registered to you. Now, maybe over the years they're getting better at this and they're trying to connect the systems, but when I was working, and I still think it's the case today, if there's a cop out there working that says it's changed, unless you run a person for wants or warrants, you don't get if he's a wanted felon on the run, etc. So there was tricks that cops would do, some cops, me, to get the system to recognize that this person is wanted. Because, I mean, let's face it, if I've got a case that I'm working and this guy's wanted and he stabbed somebody and he's out there running around and I've got a warrant in the system for a year, you know, this guy's probably been stopped 10 times because he's got a valid driver's license. You know, so the cop would never know unless when he stopped him, you ask, I want to run. Now, because of the people that I contacted and the jobs that I worked, everybody I contacted got ran, because I wasn't contacting people like you and me and decent people driving to work with decent cars. I was going after the bad guys. So everybody I contacted, I ran their driver's license and I ran them for wants and warrants. And the system in California anyway, counties could put in their own warrants in their own system and not put it in the national, because when you put it in when you enter a warrant in the NCIC, National Crime Inlets, NCIC, computer, I forgot what NCIC means, but whatever. That's the big national system for all warrants. When an agency puts in, and each cop has their own little authority code that they use when you enter a warrant for your agency, it's called an ORI. That agency would put that in there, but when you put it in there, one of the conditions for the federal government to allow you to put that in there is your agency, you had to agree that you would extradite that person if you caught him anywhere. So a lot of counties that have local felony warrants, you know, if you're in California and you got a warrant for burglary or, you know, some crime that they don't want to spend a whole bunch of money to go get you, they're not going to put that warrant in the national system. Because if they put it in the national system and they catch you in Florida, now they either got to pay 2 officers plane tickets to fly them down there to pick you up, to bring them back. They got to pay the sheriff's department who runs a bus. Some of your bigger agencies run buses around all these places, and it may take 2 weeks for you to get them back. But when you put that warrant in the system, you have to be willing to front the bill that if they catch them in another state, you got to go get them. Now, was that enforced? Not really. I mean, they've caught a couple of low-level felonies in another state clear across the place, and it's like, the DA was like, I don't want them that bad, and by the time we bring them back, the case isn't that strong, we may or not get a conviction. Just leave the warrant in the system, but we're not going to go get them. So the warrant would stay in the system, and if we caught them closer, then we might bring them back. So the way to get around that, and the way to ensure your warrants got out there, is one, you had to make sure that you technically was going to go get them. But another way to get it to where it kind of cross-checked was, especially in auto theft, if we were looking for an auto thief and we knew he had a car, we would enter that car as a possible stolen. Now, technically you shouldn't be able to do that. Either a car's stolen or it's not. But, you know, in the legal system with, you know, lawyers and prosecutors and the government, and everybody's always trying to wiggle, and no really word has any definition. You know, when a president of the United States can say, well, define sex and define with, and, you know, the way our legal legal system is, it's all a big word game and playing. So cops learn over time when they get caught either with their pants down or get chewed out or they lose a case, they learn how to modify. Or a DA will instruct them, hey, do this, I know a way around this. If you do this, you can get around it. If you can do that, you get around it. So remember the team player, everybody works as a group. So you kind of learn that. Well, one of the inside things that auto theft guys do is we would get the car that he is probably, we're saying, look, this guy's Vince Winchell, we know he's running the chop shop, we know he's out there running around his felony warrant, we can't find him, but he's probably driving his vehicle. If we put a possible stolen vehicle hit on that plate, if a cop's just driving by and runs it, or if a parking meter runs that license plate, now we get a hit on a possible stolen vehicle. So on your screen you get a little flash, the dispatcher gets a little flash, and now you further investigate and you'll find our guy for us. But without that, our warrant may sit in the system for a year or two. Now most crimes have a statute of limitations. Maybe I'll do a little video on that, on how long you can convict somebody and when the time starts and all that. But that's one way, is to put their car, if you're after a suspect and you know they got a car, another way is to put armed and dangerous. If you can somehow say that the suspect has a pocket knife, threatened violence, was arrested for assault when he was a juvenile, if you can connect some violence some way and you just put in your flyer, technically, you really don't justify anything. If I'm making a flyer out, I can put armed and dangerous on anything. I mean, but you don't want to abuse it to where you're putting armed and dangerous on a guy who stole a candy bar. But if you're after a bad enough guy and there's a possibility of violence, you put armed and dangerous, that gets the attention. That goes in a separate log in dispatching and computers, and when you get that person, their vehicle, or etc., you will get possible officer safety, armed and dangerous. Now there's other things you can put in there to warn officers. If somebody's HIV positive and you want to warn the officer, technically, according to law, you can't tell cops that the person he's dealing with has AIDS. So what they do is they put in his little file, it's called biohazard. So when an officer runs this person, we're not telling him he's got AIDS, we're telling him, be advised, this person has a biohazard comment on his contact. So now officers know, oh, biohazard, this guy's got AIDS. So he's just going to be a little bit more careful if the guy's trying to bite him, if the guy's trying to pass fluids, if the guy's crying, if he's bleeding, if you're going to arrest him, you want to put gloves on first. So you're just going to be a little bit more careful. Now, why is that against the law? Because freaking liberals out there want to protect everybody's rights that's doing wrong or got something wrong, but they never want to protect the decent people who are out there working, trying to make a living. So that's why the law's out there. You can't talk about it. It may fall under HIPAA. I don't know how the stupid rule got in there, but they used to say, hey man, be advised the person, they first give you a 1036. When you hear 1036 on the radio, that means they're about to tell you personal or confidential information. Normally when you hear 1036, your little hair should stand up, and it means they're going to tell me this guy's wanted, there's a felony warrant for him, I need to be careful, something. They're telling me, basically when a dispatcher, and different agencies use different codes, they may say for yours only, or are you clear for confidential, if they're talking plain English. And when they say that, that means they're about to dispatch something to you that they don't want the person or anyone around you to hear. So that means you go, hold on, watch him, you walk away, you have him turn down his radio, and you go ahead when you're by yourself. And then they put out, this person has AIDS, this person has a felony warrant, this person has an armed and dangerous tag, whatever. So they don't want to just spit that out when you're handling a guy. The guy's like, do I want to run? Do I want to fight this guy? So he's deciding what he's going to do, and all of a sudden the radio goes, hey, be advised, this guy's got a felony warrant. Well, it's on. Because now he knows, shit, they know who I am, I might as well run, I got nothing to lose. So, putting the armed and dangerous, the problem with that is you get that, and if you want people to pay attention to somebody, you put armed and dangerous. If you're chasing somebody, you put armed and dangerous. It just gives you a broader path. And I guess the reason why I was doing that, I just heard something, they just announced some guy escaped and he's armed and dangerous. Well, yeah, everybody's armed and dangerous. I mean, he's an escaped felon. Obviously he's dangerous. But when they put out armed and dangerous, so you hear that on the media, basically they're trying to heighten people's awareness. They're trying to make it look like it's a worse guy. They're trying to get it in different systems that it'll flag more to get more attention, so maybe an officer will catch them. So that's the armed and dangerous thing. The computer thing about how to get warrants in there and put in there they're armed and dangerous or things like that. That's all the communication. Could that be easy? I never could figure out why they couldn't connect computers. That if you have a warrant, that warrant shows up on your driver's license, it shows up on your vehicle, it shows up if you get aid, if you get welfare, all that. You know what? All those systems are blocked. We got to protect the criminals' rights. We don't protect the good citizens' right, but we got to protect the criminal rights. So you can be on welfare with a felony warrant. You can do that. Now, if I know you're on welfare and I contact your caseworker and say, hey, this guy's got a felony warrant, he's getting aid, I want his aid stopped, he's a fleeing felon. Technically, they're supposed to stop his aid. But you know what they do? They call the guy and go, hey man, cops just called me, they know you got a warrant. I'm going to have to stop your aid unless you turn yourself in or you get the warrant. I just want to let you know. So now they know we're on to them. So you can't trust the damn liberals that work in these welfare offices because they give out all the info. I got a story on one of my crazy cop stories on a welfare lady on how liberal and stupid they are. But anyway, I'm going to do a crazy cop story after this, and we'll go from there. But just want to kind of cover the systems and the different ways that the obstacles that are put in front of officers that sometimes it makes it look like the officer's being crooked and you can't trust him and he's lying, but we're trying to do the right thing and work within the system of the stupid rules of the liberals. All right, we'll end that there.